Hi, my name is Suzanne Wagner, and I teach classes on intimacy, relationships, tarot, palmistry, numerology, channeling. I am part of an organization called the Wild Women Symposium that allows women to open in their divine feminine self, and I'm a professional psychic and author. Today, I wanted to have a talk about a relationships workshop that my friend Jason Smith and Jenny Staunchfeld and I are putting on, which is July 15th through 17th, 2016. As I was talking to Jason and Jenny about this workshop that's coming up in Deer Valley at this beautiful house at the top of the mountain overlooking this beautiful view of Park City, we started talking about like what we wanted to put together for this particular workshop. And as we were discussing the different things that we find in intimacy that need to be worked on, we started to look at what is the nature of shadow. And I think a lot of women think that working with shadow means that I bring out my worst self, my scary self, my bitchy self, I need my man to, see me in my full power. And they think that their power and their dark expression of that power is what they're hiding or their shadow. And I kind of laugh because I think almost every man knows what his mate's dark emotions are. I think he's bumped into them plenty of times. And yes, he's learned to navigate them and try and figure them out. And, he's succeeded and failed many times over. But I think there's a deeper layer of vulnerability that the feminine is really being called on to find a way to express. And those energies that I think that are suppressed in the shadow are vulnerability, trust, and honor. People think, well, what if my mate is like making mistakes and all that? I'm like, well, the bottom line is we're all human and we're all going to make mistakes and none of us are completely perfect. But it's that place where you pick your mate because you trust them in some way and you trust them to open you or to take you to a place that you can't go yourself. And I find a lot of women, showing devotion in a way that your man actually understands or your mate actually understands is actually softer and more subtle. I think one of the mistakes that a lot of women make is that they talk too much and they feel like they need to be in the center of the conversation because they need to feel like they're respected and their voice is respected and their wisdom is respected. And I think all of that is true, but I think there's also a place that men are very good at certain things and women are very good at certain things, and that you have to honor where your mate is good and you have to let them lead in that particular place that they're good. So I was talking to my friends Jenny and Jason, and I was relaying a story where recently my husband and I, we went to Bali and we got these beautiful hand-carved beams, BEAMS, that go up on the ceiling. And so we were having, we got them shipped here and we had them, put up, we were putting them up. And all of these men were in their male mode. They were in their male mode and they were trying to figure it out. And again, I'm not an engineer. I'm not a contractor. I've learned as a woman that I allow my man, who is an engineer and has been a general contractor, to be in his best self. I mean, he can totally be in his best self and allow his skill to come to the forefront, and all these other men who were also contractors to figure it out. I think in my 20s, I used to kind of jump in and say, well, we should do this or we should do that. And I was speaking from a place of a lack of wisdom, not real wisdom. I was speaking from a place of my own needing to feel included or feeling like I needed to contribute or feeling like I needed my voice to be heard. And when you're a woman and you actually feel safe with your man and you actually trust your man and you actually honor his skill set, there's a calmness that actually comes over and you simply step in and you relax into the moment. So I always tease that when men are doing their thing, it's like boy land. It's like the guy game. And so I'm in my office doing stuff and I hear them discussing all this stuff, and, they can be very animated about things at times with this. And, again, there's nothing to fix. This is just how men are. And I trust my man. I completely trust my man. And I accept that he's better at this. And at some point they said to me, hey, we actually need one extra pair of hands. I mean, can you come in here? Because we're trying to hold these beams up and we're trying to figure out the angles. And, these beams are super heavy and they're very long. And, do you think you got the strength to do this? And I'm like, yeah, sure, absolutely. So I walked in and I put on my work gloves and I stood there and I was just being, as we say in Tantra, a hollow bamboo. I have no agenda. I am there to help. I am there to assist in whatever way men need in that moment. I don't have an opinion about anything. I don't need to prove myself. I don't need to get attention from them. I don't need to drag their energy over to me in any way. I'm just sitting there as a hollow bamboo, open. And so they keep discussing things, and this goes on. And the bottom line was that they figured out a way to prop the beam up, and, with a towel wrapped around the floor, on the floor, and with a beam, and they figured out a way to do it. And so they didn't need me. And so they turned to me when they realized they didn't need me, and they said, oh, sorry, I guess we don't need the extra pair of hands. And I said, oh, that's okay. I said, that's totally fine. I said, I have just learned that when men are in their man world and doing their man conversation, to just respect that and to honor that and to observe it with wonder and amazement and appreciation, and just let them do their thing. And one of the main contractors said to me, he says, wow, that's so amazing. Yeah, he said, most women don't have the skill to do that at all. And he said, besides, it was worth everything just to see you walk in and actually put on work gloves. So, I kind of say that because it is sort of funny, like the feminine can have an impact without having to be overt or loud or noisy. The feminine can have an impact by being this open bamboo. And in intimacy, I think what every person with their mate wants to express is that place of vulnerability, that place that is hard for them to touch inside themselves. I think that it is only when we feel safe that that place actually opens up. And I think the most sacred thing that you can share with your mate is your vulnerability. Now, when I say that, I don't mean like dumping. I don't mean dumping. I don't mean dumping your drama, dumping your emotional stress. I actually mean staying present and allowing yourself to be fully seen as scared or hurt or unsure or not perfect. And I think that that is very healing in intimacy. That's one of the things that is very healing in intimacy. I also think that trust is a critical piece. It's like, why would you be with a person that you are not expressing trust? I know that I've spent many times in relationship not expressing trust in the relationship, but I also didn't know how to be vulnerable and open. So I think vulnerability is the first step. When you show vulnerability and the other person stays present with you, you actually learn to trust. And you learn to trust yourself with your emotions and expressing them. And then in turn, you trust that in expressing them, you can be felt and heard, and that you're still safe. And then in turn, when you feel trust for yourself, you can actually then trust somebody else and trust them in their expertise, trust them in their skill set. So once again, it's like, I'm not a contractor. I don't understand angles and lines and stuff like that. That's not what I do. So I really don't have an opinion about those things, but I'm so grateful that I have a man that he loves to figure stuff out like that. And so then comes the third piece, which is to really honor that and to be that open bamboo and allow him to express his magnificence in a way that you are witnessing his skill and his beauty and his light and his authority. I remember when I was very first together with my husband, and he would ask for help, and I was always like an open bamboo. I was like, open bamboo, so that's totally fine. But he was so not used to feeling supported in a way that he received. Now, notice how I said that, because it's not that he wasn't supported. It's just that how the people around him were trying to support him didn't register to him as support. So that's a very important kind of fine line you have to work with. And so I would say to him, because he would get kind of gruff and he would get kind of aggressive and he would get kind of demanding. And you can actually tell if a person hasn't been honored in their skill set if they come out at you very first and foremost, like in this kind of aggressive way, like, I need you to do this and you have to do it like this and blah, blah, blah. And, so I would have to say to him over and over again, I'd say, I have no idea about any of this, and you are the expert in this, and I am not, and I have no opinion whatsoever. And so take a breath and calm down, because I will do it exactly the way you tell me to do it. I have no idea how to do it anyway, so I'm of course going to do what you tell me to do, because you're clearly the expert at this. And it was amazing that it can take years. It took my husband almost 2 years to really relax into that I wasn't going to get mad, and I wasn't going to stomp around, and I wasn't going to go into resistance, and, I wasn't going to get pissy, and I wasn't going to hold a grudge, and I wasn't going to go into resentment or something like this. And again, it's because I know myself well enough that it's like, I go, hey, I love this person. They ask me for help. I'm going to do my best to help. I'm not skilled at this, and so I'm going to do it how they say to do it. And again, you don't have to be the expert at everything. You don't have to know everything about everything. And I say that just because in my family and my dynamic, my family lived in a pattern of defense postures. So, everybody was defending themselves, and so you always had to come up with the next thing. And to untrain my nervous system out of that learned behavior took years. It took years to kind of say, I don't have to be the expert. I don't know what this is about. And he is the expert. And so I'm just going to be grateful that he's the expert and let him figure that out. So I say that so that ladies out there, you could start to dial into a deeper place of your power isn't your shadow angry side, your Kali, I'm going to cut your head off side, because I think your man already knows that's there, really, honestly. I mean, if he doesn't, he's an idiot, right? So, but I think what is actually more powerful and more empowering to a man is your devotion and your respect of his container. So he's creating a container, and that container you need to work within in moments, because it's what will make him feel safe, and it's actually what will keep you safe. And to recognize that your vulnerability and openness in that moment is so juicy. It's so fulfilling. Do you know how much a man wants a woman to trust his lead, trust his direction? That's probably the greatest gift you could give him, is to say that you really trust him. Even if he might make a mistake, you'll actually trust him. And, I like to think of this because, we were working with this whole thing, and, these guys were trying to figure out something that none of them had done before. And so, sure, they might make some mistakes, and they did make mistakes. But I think sometimes with women, when our man makes a mistake, we go, see, I can't trust you, and, you made a mistake, and I'm going to lash out, and I'm going to beat you up with this. And I think that's incredibly counterintuitive. I think it is very damaging in intimacy and relationships, and it actually ends up not working in the long run. So I want to just have that discussion, because at this next Shades of Intimacy, we are going to be diving into the element of shadow, not from the place of your dark, scary, Kali, angry, bitchy side for the women, but from the place of what you're really avoiding, which is surrender and trust and respect and honor, and to let your vulnerability show through. Women, we know you're strong. We know that you're energetically more powerful than a man normally. And so it's about you owning that and recognizing that sometimes you just need to give your energy. So my joke with that whole thing with the beams is that I stood there and I just gave my energy. I gave my true feminine heart, my vulnerability, and my energy. And it actually fed the masculine. It actually did feed the masculine in the room, to the point that they made a comment, even if it was just that, it was everything just to see you put on your gloves. So, again, it's sometimes the smallest things, the softest things, the most authentic things that juice up your relationship. You don't have to be this big, loud, angry, obnoxious woman. I mean, to be known and to know that you're powerful. I'm like, okay, I think the feminine time is here. We're in the Aquarian age, and the feminine is stepping into this power. And if you're really going to step into this power, power isn't flashy. It isn't aggressive. Real power is gentle. Real power is calm. Real power gives respect to others. Real power does not have to show itself. Real power just is. And hopefully you will want to come to the Shades of Intimacy workshop. Again, July 15th through 17th in Deer Valley. You can contact me through my website, SuzanneWagner.com, or SuzWagner.com, SuzWagner.com, and see what the different workshops and classes are. Or you can go to JasonFSmith.com and go to the workshops section and the Shades of Intimacy and sign up. We look forward to seeing you.